File temple. This is the second part of this temple, which dating back to the Greek-Roman period. This temple is dedicated to the goddess Isis, as we mentioned before, and it's placed in Aswan Governorate, which is very famous place because the temple built on the sacred boundary of Egypt to the south of this country. We are now inside the second open court. This open court is just smaller than the first open court outside, and we mentioned before the reason behind that the original shape of the island, which looks like pin shape. So they built the biggest open court outside and the smaller inside behind the first pylon. What you can see in front of you is the first pylon. This is the back of the first pylon, which is decorated with scenes representing the king making offering before the gods and the king praying before different gods, especially Isis, Osiris, and Horus, the child. Just behind the pylon and to the right of this picture, we have this mamizi, which is dating back to the Greek-Roman period. And as we mentioned before, the word mamizi, it's not mean a place to birth or to give birth for the ladies, the pregnant ladies, but it's used to give the royalty to the new kings who were foreigners, not Egyptian. So they try to represent in scenes here the new king who ruled the Egypt, who originally Greek kings or Roman kings, just as sons for the goddess of Egypt, goddess Hathor or goddess Isis, to give them the royalty and the right to rule this country. This mamizi is dating back to the time of the king Ptolemy VI, who was the first one built this building, but it's restored by many other kings through the Ptolemaic and the Roman period. The mamizi is surrounded from two sides with the so-called Hathoric columns, these columns which crowned with the head of the goddess Hathor, the goddess of this mamizi or the birth room in this temple. The scenes inside and outside, very traditional and scenes, and also there are some special scenes like the scenes of feeding the king in the form as a child from the breast of the Hathor or from Isis. This is the design of the mamizi, which started with a small vestibule, and the front part of it, down of this picture, it's built by Ptolemy V, and the rest of the mamizi built by Ptolemy VI and Ptolemy VII. As you can see, it's a very small building and surrounded with these columns, the Hathoric columns, which is supported the roof of the corridor around the building, the main building of the mamizi, and between each two columns there is a kind of a screen walls, not completed walls, but just small walls. Here is the face of the goddess Hathor, the whole column in the form of the sistrum, a kind of a musical instrument, as a symbol for the goddess Hathor, the goddess of music. And we have here 7 columns in each side representing the stage of the pregnancy and giving birth of the ancient mother, which was Hathor, who gave birth in the king himself and gave him life. Inside the mamizi, we have a lot of scenes. One of the special scenes is representing the king as a child, feeding from the breast of the goddess Hathor, and when he just drank this milk of the goddess, he go through his body and make that blood, which is the reason and the result to be the king of Egypt and give him the royalty of this country and become the son of the goddess Hathor. Again, the king here is representing as Horus, and in the form of the hawk with the crown above his head, the double crown of Upper and Lower Egypt inside this kind of tree of life. The second pylon, which built by the king Ptolemy VIII, it's in very good condition, and as you can see, it's slightly higher than the court and is reached by a stairway to the inner hypostyle hall behind this pylon. The pylon, as you can see, has a lot of scenes. The scenes and the upper register and post towers representing the king standing in front of seated gods, especially Horus, Isis, and Osiris, and he make offering for them and praying for them. In the other scenes under those scenes on the top, there are some standing goddess and gods, and also the king making offering to all of them, especially to Isis, the goddess of this temple. He is standing and holding this kind of an instrument which he used to burning the incense in front of those gods. There are also two recesses, one in each side. These recesses used to fix the flags of the temple and the governorate in ancient time. The scenes is very traditional. We can recognize also just above the recesses there are two windows, and actually these are not the original windows, but it's cut by the Coptics who used to live inside this temple during the troubles they faced during the time of the Emperor Diocletianus 284, and they used all of these temples in Upper Egypt to flee away from Alexandria, the capital of Egypt, in this time. Very traditional scene representing the king burning incense and giving offering to the god Horus, and behind him his mother, the goddess Isis, the goddess of this temple. This piece of granite in the lower part of the pylon, it's belong to the original island itself. It's made of granite. It's exactly like the island itself. It's a part of the island, the original island. The what is written here on this rock, which is very sacred rock, and they built the pylon around it. What's written on this trouble which happened in ancient time between the priest of Khnum, the god of this area of Egypt, Aswan, the first nome of Upper Egypt, and also the priests of Isis who tried to take this island in Aswan for them, because it's a very respected island for them, especially because Isis found the last part of the body of Osiris in a near area here to this island. So they tried to build on this last point near the second boundary of Egypt. They to build this temple here dedicated to Isis, which is not easy to do that, and to not dedicate the temple to Khnum himself, the god of Aswan. So they made a big trouble between them, and they after judgment they solved the problem by giving this island to Isis, and instead give a huge land to the temple of the god Khnum on Elephantine Island instead of this sacred island. To the right side of this open court, we have some small chapels and shrines dedicated to different gods like Isis, Tot, and some other gods. The main temple just behind the second pylon, we will get to inside the main temple, which is consist of a very small open court, which is the third one, and the hypostyle hall. 3 vestibules lead to 2 side rooms, and by the end is the main sanctuary and 2 other small sanctuaries, one for Horus and one for Osiris, while the main central one is for the goddess Isis. This part of the temple was used as a church by the Christian who used the temple to live inside. Here we are. This is the open court, another open court, very small one, and actually it's surrounded by the hypostyle hall from 3 sides with these columns which support the roof of the hypostyle hall. The hypostyle hall here has just 8 columns supporting the roof, 4 in each side. As a part of the hypostyle, in our way to inside to the right side, we have this small church, which was a very sacred and very important church in Upper Egypt, and actually it's dating back to 1841 during the and there is an inscription dating back to the time of Pope George the 16th. And actually it's very important because this temple has originally a kind of 6 churches, 4 of them on the roof of this temple, and 2 on the as a part of the hypostyle hall. This church is very special, and as you can see, the Coptics, they remove all the scenes on the walls of the church, which is dating back to the original temple. They brought this small shrine from inside the temple, put it here in the middle to use to burn the incense on it. Here are some early Coptic crosses on the walls, graved on the walls and carved on the walls by the Coptics who used this temple to live inside. The three vestibules, we will go on to cross them to go to inside to the sanctuary inside. The more we get to inside the temple, the level of the ground get higher, and the level of the roof is get smaller and lower, and actually the doors get smaller by the end until getting to the sanctuary, which is the highest point of the temple, and its roof is the lowest, and the door is the smallest doors from all over the doors around the temple. In our way to inside the sanctuary, we have a lot of scenes, very traditional scenes. Most of the scenes representing the kings, Ptolemies, making offering to different gods and goddesses, especially here, for example, he making offering this small statue in the form of Sphinx to the goddess Isis, and behind here the goddess Serket, one of the sacred goddess of this time. A very important scene representing the god Osiris, behind him his wife, the goddess Isis, and the goddess Hathor behind her. We will get now to inside the sanctuary. The holy follows the most important part of the temple, which is dedicated to the goddess Isis. Actually, there are two small rooms or two small sanctuaries, one to the right and one to the left of this one, one dedicated to Horus and the other one dedicated to the god Osiris. Inside the sanctuary, we have two important scenes. The first of it is to the our way to inside, to the right side, and this one, which is here, is represented in the left side of this picture. It's representing the goddess Isis feeding the king as a child, which is represented naked with lock of hair on the side face. And actually, the face of the goddess Isis is removed completely. It looks like it's made by the Coptics, who used this temple as a church. And in the right side, we have another scenes, very important scenes represented inside this sanctuary, is representing the goddess Isis with the two wings attached to her arms, and she's hugging and protecting her husband Osiris, who's standing in front of her in the form of a mummy. We will get now outside the temple to visit some small temples around. First of all is the temple of the goddess Hathor, which you can see is completely damaged. As you can see, especially the columns of the open court, which is surrounded the open court. This temple of the goddess Hathor is very special one. It's dating back to the time of the king Ptolemy the IX, and continue restored and rebuilt by many other kings of the Ptolemaic period, but especially the Emperor Augustus, who restored this temple and rebuilt it. Actually, the Romans, they considered, and even the Greeks, they considered Hathor like Aphrodite, the goddess, the Greek goddess for them, so they respect her very much. This scene on the walls inside and outside of this temple is dedicated to the goddess Hathor, and is representing the goddess Hathor. And because Hathor was the goddess of music in ancient time, so we're going to find a lot of scenes representing monkeys, representing some other gods like god Bes, playing music using some musical instruments. The Trajan Kiosk or Kiosk, this temple is unfinished, and we can recognize that from the polished wall outside the temple. The walls are not polished, so it's not finished completely. But we have find some cartouches for the Emperor Trajan, the Roman emperor. Actually, the Chiostic, or this small temple, was originally built without a roof, and there is another idea about it, that there was originally a wooden roof, but it's missing completely. It's called the bed of the pharaoh, and actually you are not sure why they call it like that. And actually the scenes is representing the Emperor Trajan making offering to Isis and Osiris around it. Behind this small temple, there is a balcony which has a very good vision to the river and the landscape around.